language was Russian.
German was banned in the school. Polish was banned. Or Czech was banned. So you had to learn rudimentary Russian.
You know, I have friends in Germany, and I asked them, well, how's it going now with the wall down and unification? And, you know, some of them, of course, it was tongue-in-cheek, but there's a hint of realism there. I wish the wall were back. There's a hint of realism. They're still paying 8% additional tax, the so-called solidarity contribution, in order to pay for the Westification of East Germany. 10 years after the wall's down, they're still paying that. Right? There's a weariness to that thing, and that weariness is dangerous, right? Because it could lead to that kind of extreme reaction. But very good point, sir. Back here, yes, sir.
Just going back to your point about the youth, whether it be Palestine, Somalia, or whatever, it's happening in this country with the youth gangs, with the drugs, with immigration coming in. I mean, we see it in our own country. We don't have to go and look elsewhere. Not that they're fighting a war, but they're being indoctrinated into another kind of lifestyle that is glamorous, that is, you know, something they want to aspire to.
So good point. What's the solution?
Education, jobs.
Education and jobs. How do we do that?
Well, I want to, in a sense, take what that gentleman over there said, but turn it around a little bit, because I think that the point is accurate, that we have a problem. We have the potential of a problem in this country, but the problem is based on the concept of cult of personality. What they did in Hitler Youth was they pledged not to Germany, but to Hitler himself. And as you pointed out, the leader of the Hitler Youth reported directly to Hitler. And Hitler said, these are my children, right? They belong to me.
Correct.
I can say that I have a concern, and I'm sure it's not going to be a popular statement, but I have a concern that there are youth in this country, and I can see it on YouTube, where they are marching in formation and they're pledging allegiance to Obama. And there are people who are saying, I pledge to Obama. And Obama's address to the children of education was originally about what are you going to do for Obama. And I'm concerned about that cult of personality, because it should not be about who is in the White House. It should be about our country and the values of our country.
So if you have that concern, then how do you shift the balance of the conversation? How do you move it in that direction?
You vote.
You know, I think this is wonderful, because what this highlights is that the exhibit outside, what we've talked about here tonight, is not the past.
No, it's
This has really ramifications for us now in a multicultural democracy in the United States. And basically what I'm doing is I'm not answering questions anymore, I'm moderating a debate. Yes, sir.
All about politics or not, you put a gun in the hands of a teenage kid this coming Friday, and you're going to have 2 deaths over the weekend. It's not about politics or who's in the White House. It makes that young kid, maybe in Germany too, feel so powerful with that AK-47, such as whoever did it yesterday in California, shooting those 2 Jewish men going to services. It's not about politics or anything. Education is fine. You're not going to educate the person on the street. He has street smarts. You don't know who's walking along Murray Avenue right now, or along Liberty Avenue in Bloomfield, and what he has down in his pants. I guarantee you that. Okay? So, as much education as you want to educate them, and playgrounds, that's not going to solve the problem. You give that 8-year-old kid who sees his teenage brother, and I'm sorry.
For me,
what's the problem?
This is the image that really
It's
terrifies
that Saturday night special.
This is the image that really terrifies me, when you have the power of the state behind that. Right? You have this kind of massive weaponry. I have a 13-year-old son. He would give his eye teeth to fire that gun. Right? I mean, the kind of excitement they feel about modern weaponry. And the Nazis used that, really pushed it into the extreme and then twisted it in a really horrible direction. Right? When the state's behind it, it's a whole different bottle of wax. They have a whole different series of resources behind them. Ma'am, you want to say something?
We were just saying, all this talk about youth and problems and all sorts of, none of this is government sanctioned, as you said, which is what in Africa and all this, it is government sanctioned and encouraged.
You know, we can all agree on the basis
In the United States
of a multicultural, pluralistic democracy. But you know, a pluralistic democracy is very messy. And part of the danger to a pluralistic democracy is that we get so polarized that we can't have a civil conversation anymore. And that somebody will come along who will be a charismatic leader and say, look, I can unite us all. And that would be so appealing that we'd sacrifice anything to have that. And that's what I see happening in Nazi Germany in 33. They're so intoxicated by this vision of a unified Germany heading into the future that they sacrifice individual liberties. They sacrifice justice for all. If the price to pay is the persecution of a tiny minority of the Jewish community, it's a price we can pay. They make those decisions consciously because Hitler will give them unity, and power. Yeah.
One of the things I think that made it so seductive for the Third Reich, I mean, the economic situation, that's horrible. And I sort of see some parallels possibly sort of today.
Yeah, it's another thing to watch out for. The point was that one of the things that made Nazism possible was the dire economic situation and the Depression in Germany. You know, think about it. We had the Depression. We were harder hit than Germany. Germany was the second hardest hit. We had the really deep Depression. We get President Roosevelt and the New Deal. They get Adolf Hitler and Nazism. We get the Civilian Conservation Corps. They get the Reich Paper Service. Right? Both of them ruled for 12 years. Both of them had a huge impact on the society around them. The difference is that we come from a tradition with democratic principles and democratic ideals, and they come from a tradition where the answer is always provided by the state. That's a huge difference.
But actually 2 points. One is that Hitler, first of all, Hitler did not take power by a coup. He was elected democratically.
He was appointed as a backdoor deal with the conservatives.
And the second point is that, what was the second point?
Sorry, I didn't mean to throw you off.
Yeah, well, we'll do that.
Deep breath. So 2 points. One is that Hitler came to power legitimately, and you can make that argument according to the Constitution.
Oh, the other point was that in the early days of fascism, there were people who thought that fascism was a positive philosophy.
Yes.
That people were supporting it, and we had certainly.
It was an answer to communism. It was an answer and a solution to communism, absolutely. I don't want to hold you up from your reception. We can continue this conversation with